Tonight we're going through the facts, going through the numbers. What has happened? How did the state respond? And what has led us to this record number of COVID-19 cases that we're seeing today? As he'll readily tell you, there's one person making the final decisions here, Governor Ducey. He's called it, quote, the Arizona way, a lighter touch on restrictions. And while claiming he's the one in charge, many would say his decisions when President Trump is nearby would suggest otherwise. Now, with the state in this pandemic crisis, ABC 15's Nicole Grigg going through the governor's words and decisions that impact all who live in Arizona.
It's the governor in his own words through the pandemic months. No matter when he's speaking, Governor Doug Ducey making clear,
of course, we're going to return the Arizona way.
And that
Arizona is headed in the right direction.
He's bragged about limited restrictions.
Not focused on what's being reported elsewhere, learning from what we're seeing elsewhere, but doing what's in the best interest of Arizona. That's resulted in some later timing and a lighter touch in placing restrictions on our economy.
At first, it was stop the spread.
What we're working on every day is to reduce the number of Arizonans that contract COVID-19.
But then came President Trump, no mask, touring the Honeywell plant in Phoenix on May 5th. Governor Doug Ducey by his side. And the mission changed. On June 11th, out was stop the spread, in was taking care of the sick.
What we want to measure, what's most important, is where are we today in hospital capacity.
For Jim Small, editor of the Arizona Mirror and a longtime follower of state politics, this was the governor's turning point.
I think you had the president who was talking about the need to open things up and really trying to lean on governors in particular.
Also, political pressure from protests at the Capitol and from Republican state legislators furious over what they saw as dictatorial overreach. By May 15th, Ducey's actions became inactions. He let the stay-at-home order expire, explaining that the state's hospital capacity could handle an outbreak.
If people get sick, if and when people get sick, it'll be okay because we'll be able to treat them. And that's, to me, that strikes me as kind of callous because this is a disease that we don't know a lot about.
Tucson resident Annie Holub agrees. In a letter to Governor Doug Ducey published in the Tucson Sentinel, Ms. Holub talks about her father dying on a ventilator in 2011, saying that the governor's focus around hospital capacity, quote, sounds cruel and ignorant to those of us with experience watching loved ones die in the ICU hooked up to a ventilator.
I think when you're the governor, the buck does stop with you.
Political noise, claims the governor. He and State Health Director Dr. Kara Christ are heavily focused on numbers that they say show Arizona meeting the White House gating criteria that justified opening. But ABC 15 data experts have never been able to replicate their modeling.
No, we weren't able to fully replicate what the governor used as his percent positive. We were always about 4 or 5 points higher than what he said. And the reasons we were giving for that was that there are some labs that weren't reporting the same way. And so the governor's numbers reflected the removal of those labs.
And just this week, ASU researchers said Arizona had not met the CDC gating criteria. I asked the governor about that this week.
I guess different people can look at data in different ways. I'm being guided by public health and the Centers for Disease Control.
The reopening was to be calm and steady. Instead, we saw crowds, little social distancing, and since the stay-at-home order expired on May 15th, cases have grown an incredible 142%.
That is driven by the 20 to 45-year-olds who are, they've multiplied by 3 times the number of cases.
With Friday marking the highest cases ever, over 3,000, the question, is it too much community spread?
Hard to be able to, determine whether or not it's too much community spread. It certainly is a lot. And I think probably what's most important that we have to remember is that we're not going to stop this virus in its tracks, not until we have a vaccine or we've had so many cases that we've just generated some herd immunity.
The governor defending this week the increase in cases.
There has been a 600% increase in testing since April 15th. Testing has doubled since the stay-at-home order.
But this letter from Holub ends on Governor Ducey saying, quote, Arizonans are dying, Governor Ducey. Their breath is in your hands. Today, I sent an email to the governor asking him about his decisions over the past 90 days. I asked if politics came into play. His press aide, Patrick Petak, saying in part, quote, while others may use this global pandemic to engage in politics and running campaigns, the governor is focused on engaging health experts and running the state. Reporting in Phoenix, Nicole Gregg, ABC 15, Arizona.